Welcome back, everybody. It's the fantasy football segment of the week, Waiver Wire. We're going to let you know who to get, who not to get. I guess you don't really want to listen to us because everyone we've told you about has been getting hurt. But, James, what do we got?
That's actually not true. I've had a couple good picks throughout the weeks, here and there, finishing the top 10 of each position. That's cool. But this is going to be probably my last week doing this because it is the playoffs next week, which means there's going to be 4 of you guys per thing that are listening to it. So there's no point.
And it's safe to say that if you don't figure it out now, well, you're screwed then.
So basically, I'm just trying to help you win this last week. And if you win this, good luck in playoffs. It's all up to you. Teams on bye this week are the Buccaneers and the Panthers. So if you have anybody in the Buccaneers, that's the biggest one.
Fuck.
Get somebody new. Sucks you, Eric. Starting with quarterback, first and foremost, we got Kirk Cousins from the Vikings. He's owned in 20.4% of leagues. In Week 12, he had 26.18 points. Against Carolina, he went 34 for 45 for 307 yards and 3 touchdowns, while also adding 3 carries for 19 yards. And this is all without Adam Thielen because he was on the COVID list. So that's your number 1 wide receiver. And he's still producing without him. He's had 20-plus point games in 3 of his last 6 games, so he's really starting to heat up. As I mentioned before, Adam Thielen was out, and he is the number 1 receiver, but he should be back this upcoming week. And he also has another potential number 1 wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. Although he's a rookie, PFF has him graded as the best rookie wide receiver in the league. Teams right now are selling out to defend the run because of Dalvin Cook. The guy's a monster. He's really good at running the ball. And so teams are stacking the box, which allows single coverage on the backside and up front, which will allow for Kirk Cousins to throw the ball way more. The Vikings as a whole have won 4 of their last 5 games, so that's a lot of positive momentum and positive morale, helping the players to play well overall. Next up, they play the Jags. That's the second worst team in the league. Almost every team and every quarterback on that team has thrown multiple passing touchdowns against the Jaguars. They're a bad team, guys. So, Eric, you famously claimed that Mitch Trubisky would have had a better season than Kirk Cousins. Well, Trubisky got benched after 3 games and has only appeared in 4 games, and Kirk Cousins has 23 passing touchdowns. Can you make an argument against your original argument?
Yes. No, I can't actually. No, I was completely wrong. But I did pick up Cousins actually in my other league like a couple weeks ago when Josh Allen was on a bye. And, yeah, like you said, he's been doing pretty good. I played him the last 3 weeks in my league, 19.5, 25.9, and 29.18. These are his points the last 3 weeks. Really good. 8 touchdowns in those last 3 weeks, only 1 interception, so that's also pretty good. And, yeah, he's probably better than Trubisky.
He's not probably – he definitely is better than Trubisky. What are you talking about? How many points do you think he puts up this week?
Against Jacksonville, I'm gonna say 24.8 points this week, almost 25.
Any interceptions or any touchdowns?
He's gonna get 3 touchdowns again. I'm probably gonna play him this week, and it depends who the Bills play because I got Josh Allen also in my 2 quarterback system, But I'll probably play Cousins.
I would have picked Josh Allen, but that's just me. This is the waiver wire section, man. Like, this is 50% or under. Like, for sure, play Josh Allen. What are you doing?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know who they're playing, so we'll see.
Okay. Well, that was a quarterback. Now, moving on to running back, we have Latavius Murray from the Saints. He's owned in 46.3% of leagues. In Week 12, he had 25.6 points, his season high. Against Denver, he had 19 carries for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's getting to the point in the season now where the Saints are starting to rest Alvin Kamara a lot more because they want him to be fresh and ready for the playoffs, which allows Latavius Murray to get a lot more work. Alvin Kamara is actually more of the pass-catching back, and without Drew Brees to throw down checkdowns all the time, they're actually going to run more running plays, which is Latavius Murray's specialty. In the 2 games that Drew Brees has been out, Latavius has had 12 carries and 19 carries respectively. Murray's always been a part of the game plan. He's not just coming up out of nowhere because Drew Brees is out. He's had double-digit carries in all but 4 games. So he's not new. He's been there. Next up, he plays the Falcons. He had 10.5 points against them 2 weeks ago. And then he plays the Eagles. So he could really be a multi-week player. Alex, running backs in the waiver wire are really hard to come by just because there's basically no starting running backs out there right now. So what are your thoughts on Latavius Murray?
Yeah, I think if Drew Brees was still healthy, I would say don't even think about it because he and Kamara have such a great connection, And you're right, Kamara is more of a pass catching back, even though he can obviously do a great job running. Hi guys. Latavius Murray is very boomer bust though. He's got 4 touchdowns on the season. He's had 2 touchdown games. That's it. You really have to bank on him scoring, getting into the end zone. I don't know if you can do that. The Saints are kind of in cruise mode right now. So, yeah, he might get a little bit more work. But the Falcons are still trying to fight. They're still trying to get into the playoffs. So they're not going to, just roll over. I don't know if you can pick him up. I mean, if you are, maybe you have Ronald Jones or Fournette and you're looking for another running back with those super weird late buys, go for it, pick him up, but just know it's going to be maybe he gets 20 points, he might get 2.3.
Do you think he outscores Alvin Kamara for the 3rd week in a row?
No. Want to do $5 again?
No, not even close, dude. No way. I'm really reaching for these running backs. He's not, probably not.
Damn.
Quick side note here. The Bills play the Niners. So the Niners have a pretty good defense. I was just seeing against the Rams. So I don't know if you want to play Josh Allen against them. So Cousins it is, huh? Going on to wide receiver, we have Allen Lazard, a.k.a. the Lizard King from Green Bay. He's owned in 27.8% of leagues. In Week 12, he had 12.3 points. Against Chicago, he had 4 receptions on 6 targets for 23 yards and a touchdown. He's clearly the number 2 guy in an Aaron Rodgers-led offense. If it's a passing down and Devontae isn't open, he's probably going to be the next read. He has a knack for an end zone because he's had 3 touchdowns in 5 games. That's a really good percentage right there. It's a very small sample size, but ever since he came back from his injury, he had core surgery early in the year where he missed 6 games and a bye. His targets from Aaron Rodgers have gone up every single game. Next up, they play the Eagles. The Eagles have one good corner in Darius Slay, who's going to shadow Devontae Adams pretty much all game, which leaves subpar cornerbacks and safeties to cover Allen Lazard. Traden, this is your guy, man. You had him as your waiver wire pick a couple weeks ago. Can you make an argument for or against adding him this week?
Oh, he's a huge add. Look, he absorbed a big hit against the Bears this past week, and left briefly and then came back and finished with the stats you said: 4 receptions on 6 targets, 23 yards, and a tuggy. He just came back from a lengthy core injury, as you mentioned, and he immediately scared us. But in the game he scored. And before missing 6 games, he put up 2 very strong performances. But has also seen his fair share of rough games. One due to, I would say because he's easing back from the injury, which would have been the week before. But before surgery, he had an 87% snap share in the first 3 games, which lent him to record 1 18-point game and a 26-point game. To me, if he sustains a 4-target average, he's a solid flex option. And if we look at this past week, he was put out of the game for the injury, saw 33 snaps, a season low, and still scored reasonable points. Still scored a touchdown. That's fantastic. For comparison, Scantling saw 56 snaps and didn't even 1 target. I mean, clearly he's the second best option. But so I can see where you're coming from. Also, at this point, you have Green Bay facing the 13th ranked Eagles, the 24th ranked Lions, the 15th ranked Titans, and the 28th ranked Bears again. And Tennessee has allowed 5th most points to wideouts this season. At this point in your season, you should be picking him up even if he's available, even if you're pretty confident with your team. And here's why. A, because you're going to keep your optionality on your bench, as well as keeping opponents away from, a potential huge guy. So he's huge. He's huge.
That was amazing, dude. That was probably your best response yet. And it's week 13. That was fantastic. Good job.
Takes a little while, Matthew Berry.
What do you think his stat line is going to be for this upcoming week against the Eagles?
What was that?
What do you think his stat line is going to be against the Eagles this week?
I can see him breaching 15 points, and for a flex option, that would have won me this week. So
that's true. Thank you very much. Lastly, we're going to go to tight end. Tight end this week, I have Trey Burton from Indiana. Shout out, Matt. That's your team. He's owned in 6% of leagues. In week 12, he had 13.2 points. Against Tennessee, he had 3 receptions on 6 targets for 42 yards and a touchdown. Can we call him Philip Rivers' favorite target? Not necessarily, but he's consistently the 2nd or 3rd most targeted pass catcher on that team. He was really good in Chicago before injury after injury after injury derailed his career, and now he's finally healthy, so his potential is coming back. Phillip Rivers loves to throw short and throw his checkdowns, and tight ends typically run short routes, so it's a match made in heaven. He had the touchdown in each of his last 2 games. Up next, they play the Texans, and the Texans usually give up 60-plus yards to tight end position per game. TJ Hawkinson just torched him for 89 yards, and with J.J. Watt coming in hot to sack Rivers almost every play, look for him to throw short way more often. Tyler, you put up damn near 200 points, man, and that was crazy. So you probably won't go get this guy because you have a decent tight end in Hunter Henry already, but can you make an argument for or against adding him?
All right, so Trey Burton, this guy's an interesting pick. I think he has the potential to be very, very good. He's scored as much as 21.9 points and has scored as few as 1.6. And I think if you look at his stat line throughout the season, it's very up and down. So he's kind of boom or bust. But as you mentioned, I think he is getting more looks. I think Phillip Rivers in general, I think spreads his options out pretty far. So you kind of have to bank on the fact that he's part of the game plan this week, which is kind of hard to predict. So I think if you're really desperate for a tight end, this is not a bad option. As you mentioned, he's owning like 6% of leagues. So I think this is a pretty decent pick, but don't expect too much because he could be a bust at the same time.
Did he score a touchdown this week to make it 3 weeks in a row?
No.
Okay. Lastly, we're going to go around and see what the guys think about their favorite waiver wire pick for the week. Trey, let's start with you.
Okay, so Alan Lazard is my initial pick. Okay, obviously, after that dissertation that I gave you. But I want to give you something new. And please, there's a contingency factor, okay, James? Before you start freaking out, there's a contingency factor. Let me get through it. Devontae Booker has seen extra work and is the key understudy to Josh Jacobs. He's averaging 5.9 yards per game and has shown he can handle the majority of the work like he did in Week 10 when he had 16 carries for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, the contingency part being Josh Jacobs staying out. He does have a sprain and it looks like it's going to be minor. But if, you got to monitor him throughout the week. If Josh Jacobs is not going to be taking snaps this weekend, he's someone you have to pick up. He's going to take that number 1 running back spot and run with it. No pun intended. And he's a huge pick if Josh Jacobs is out, and that's if.
I like that pick. It's a good pick. Eric, what do you got, man?
I got Young Ho Koo, the kicker from the Falcons. He had 21 points this week against the Raiders. So I might actually pick him up and drop because I had the Broncos kicker. He had 1 field goal this week, and I could use more points against Traden. So,
dude, the Broncos didn't have a quarterback, man. How do you expect them to move the ball?
Yeah, that's why I'm going to get Young Ho Koo.
They have their quarterbacks back.
Young Ho Koo it is.
Plus,
watch him get 1 field goal here. Good one, Tyler. Alex, who do you got?
Dude, running back. Just go with whoever you think is going to possibly get 2 scores. Boom or bust. If you're if you're in trading spot, go fucking big. Do you have the balls? Pick up Adrian Peterson. You don't know. He could score too.
Do it, trading.
I think he went with Devontae Booker, but Adrian Peterson's cool too.
No, I'm just saying, go big.
Yeah, Tyler, you got.
Well, I got Dalton Schultz, tight end, Dallas Cowboys. He's a 7th-ranked tight end and is only owned in 30% of leagues. This guy could be a more reliable option, tight end, than Trey Burton. I don't know. I think Trey Burton has bigger potential, but I think that Dalton's probably – sorry, not Dalton. Yeah, Dalton Schultz is going to give you a I was thinking the quarterback, wrong guy. Is going to give you possibly – I think he's going to give you more closer to 10 points, I think, more consistently. So kind of weigh your options on that one.
All right. And that is my fantasy section for the year. Thanks for listening, guys.